At this apartment, the tenant is an elderly woman who can no longer afford the rent.
Thanks largely to Trump's mishandling of the coronavirus pandemic, more and more Americans are being hit with evictions. Now, CNN did a great piece on this. I want to share this segment with you, and then I'll dive a little more into the details and also explain a piece of news that came out recently about Trump putting a moratorium on evictions, except it's not exactly what it seems. First, here's the CNN piece.
Constable, you need to come to the door.
From one Houston home to the next.
Hello, Constable.
Deputy Benny Gant with the Harris County Constable's Office executes judge's orders to evict.
Hello, Constable.
We ain't got nowhere to go.
Israel Rodriguez is the tenant at this apartment, but he's not alone. 20-month-old Israel, his brother, 4-year-old Fabian, and their mother are some of the estimated 40 million Americans facing eviction in the downward spiral of the COVID economy.
They didn't rush us, but they were like, get everything you need.
Rodriguez admits he hasn't been paying rent, behind thousands of dollars.
It's my fault in the eviction. It was a lot going on during the corona. When it hit, I lost my job. So it took me like a month to get another job. This is my check, but I ain't making it with $300. It's literally $300.
Their stroller now carries their possessions.
It's mainly the kids' clothes because me and her just wear the same clothes almost every day. Make sure we got, toilet paper and a little bit of snacks for the kids.
What are you gonna do with all of your stuff?
That's trash. They can throw it in the trash because we don't have a car, we don't have help, we don't have nobody that can come, help us out right now. Nobody. We got ourselves, me and the kids and her, that's it.
How does you as law enforcement feel about seeing that family have to go?
Oh, it's a tough situation. I've got 6 kids, 6 children. And, when the kids see the mom and dad in desperate situations, it's tough. That's clear.
Deputy Gant, an officer for 35 years, is just starting his day. 8 evictions are on his list.
A co-defendant is here, 2 of them.
At each stop, people behind on rent are ordered to leave. Possessions pulled out.
Where are you guys gonna go now?
We gotta go to a hotel.
You can go to a hotel?
As Deputy Gant works through his list, we get word that 200 eviction orders have come through the Harris County courts for this week. That's double what they normally saw for an entire month before COVID.
200 on Monday. What does that...
Well, that's a lot, yeah.
What does that say to you?
Well, what that means is that they're ready to start having people removed from properties.
It is a backlog, but it's also just one precinct in one of America's hardest hit cities in evictions. The job takes its toll.
I don't really want to put her out here, but I have to under this judge's order.
At this apartment, the tenant is an elderly woman who can no longer afford the rent. The landlord's mover, Francisco Munoz, works, though he doesn't want to.
I have a family, I have a sister, I have my mom, and we never know. Maybe today is her, tomorrow's me,
Midway through the eviction, Deputy Gant decides it's too dangerous to evict her in the Houston summer heat.
I'm not going to put her out here in this heat.
And will call social services instead.
You're going to stay today, but tomorrow you're leaving.
A one-day reprieve with an uncertain tomorrow.
You have a situation where people aren't working, they don't have the money, and they're desperate.
All right. It is stunning what we allow in society. Think how much wealth people at the top of society have. And really, it's hard to even think about it. Most people truly don't grasp how much $1 million is, let alone $1 billion, let alone hundreds of billions of dollars. We allow that kind of wealth to amass while this is going on. While an elderly lady is being evicted from her home. And you see here, this isn't an issue with even just jobs. That one guy at the beginning, he got another job. The problem is wages. These jobs don't pay enough. So even with the job, he's being evicted. His family's being evicted. And we allow this to go on. We think this is normal. The media calls Bernie Sanders a radical, AOC a radical, for wanting a wealth tax. for wanting wages to be raised, for wanting workers to have a voice on corporate boards. That's radical. As mentioned here in that piece, 30 to 40 million people in America could be evicted from their homes by the end of 2020. While America's billionaires added $282 billion. Oh, wait, sorry, this is the first 23 days. Added $434 billion during the pandemic. Oh, wait, sorry, this is May. Here you go. $637 billion richer during the pandemic. And this is a month ago, so there's probably an update to this. This is what we allow. While families, elderly people get evicted. Completely insane. Now, recently the CDC issued this eviction ban, temporary halt on evictions, except, of course, the devil's in the details. So while this was being treated in the press as, oh, the Trump administration is issuing is halting the evictions, helping people during this crisis by halting the eviction of qualified renters. Oh, good job, Trump. Yeah, of course it's not Trump, and of course there's some actual issues with this that clearly does not make it into an actual ban on evictions. So to give you more details here, to become eligible, renters would have to sign a declaration form and present it to their landlord. It states that the renters earn less than $99,000 a year or $198,000 for joint households, and that they're unable to pay full rent despite making efforts to obtain rental assistance. They also need to declare that they will make a full effort at partial payments and would become homeless if they were evicted. Also, keeping in mind here, this has homeowners who also have payments not included in this. But even as I'll go on, you'll see this is not an actual true ban. So the last section of the declaration is crucial. Quote, I understand that any false or misleading statements or omissions may result in criminal and civil actions for fines, penalties, damages, or imprisonment. Who knows what landlords might do to prove that a renter lied on their form? Hire a private investigator, take the tenant to court. This could put a lot of renters in legal jeopardy, and just the intimidation of criminal and civil penalties could be enough to keep renters from triggering this. And, obviously not all landlords are like this, but many people have experience with horrible landlords that absolutely would take the step to hire a private investigator, follow them around, do whatever they can to try and prove that they were lying on this form. Which, by the way, who's moving into these properties? Like, that family being evicted out, that old lady being evicted. Who's moving in? Who has the money? It really, the entire situation is completely stunning. It doesn't make any sense from any point of view. Going on here, though. The order does not and could not cancel rent or relieve people of the obligation to pay, nor does it provide rental assistance for past due amounts. CDC simply doesn't have that authority. Of course, if Trump tried to do anything or Congress tried to do anything, then that may help, but the CDC doesn't have the authority here. Landlords could still charge fees and interest on unpaid rent, and after the order runs out on December 31st, ask for all of the past due payments upon threat of eviction. At best, this delays the reckoning, which is good but not a sustainable solution. Perhaps the most important, tenants could still be evicted under the eviction moratorium. Any evictions for something other than non-payment of rent would be allowable. This is precisely the issue housing advocates have with California's eviction moratorium passed on Monday, meaning that you can, of course, envision a situation where a landlord's going to use something else to evict you. So they won't say that it's because of lack of payment. They'll say it's because, oh, you played music too loud one night. They have some examples here. So they could use any pretext, claiming loud music or structural damage or some other violation of the lease. Renters usually don't have the expertise or the resources to defend themselves in housing courts. Quote, landlords will figure out non-payment reasons to kick out non-paying tenants. Exactly. So on the surface, this appears like a helping hand here during a crisis, when in reality, It's not. And landlords can and will do what they can to kick people out and continue these evictions. It is just stunning, the complete lack of help for people. Other countries, look, no country got this perfect, of course. But whether it's Canada, there's a CERB, $2,000 a month. Most people, except for students, were able to apply for that and get that help. Countries in Europe have either whether it's wage subsidies or a UBI. There's been real financial help for people. There could have been a universal basic income here. And one was proposed by Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris in the Senate. Now, of course, the Biden campaign doesn't back that. And of course, the GOP would go nowhere near anything like that. But it shows you that even though there have been ideas presented, they don't take it seriously. Neither party takes it seriously. And even, of course, even that wouldn't be enough. You would need a UBI on top of also banning evictions, on top of also help with rent. I mean, there would have to be a multi-pronged approach here to actually help people. But instead, what we get is billionaires increasing their wealth while everyone else gets screwed.